about that. All right, the Patriot and Marcus Bagwell, Stars and Stripes. This is a match versus, or a belt versus mask match. And, of course, if Stars and Stripes loses, Del Wilkes will have to take the mask off, and we'll all find out it's Del Wilkes. But the fan reaction was very good this night.
You know what's amazing is I knew we were going to poke fun at Stars and Stripes, but this redneck crowd here in Jacksonville, they're really into it.
Oh, yeah. Listen, you can't get any more redneck than North Florida. You can't.
Yeah, because it's not even like there's like a Miami, and then there's like a Tampa, right? And then there's like the Jacksonville area.
Right. James Gregory, the comedian, once said that Florida is the opposite of the South. The more north you go, the more redneck you get.
You know what? That is a great analogy. I like that. And by the way, yeah. I'm really mostly trolling. I've got half a dozen very good friends who live in Jacksonville, and they listen every week. So this is my attempt to bury them. I actually like Jacksonville and would live there, but for the purposes of my story, I mean, it's just a bunch of rednecks, and I live in Alabama, so I know a thing or two about that.
Absolutely. And Paul Orndorff doing a great job of getting on one fan here, getting the fan up. This excites me. Look at this guy. Take a look at those teeth, man. That's North Florida right there. What that is. Woo. And I like ripping on North Florida here too. Also, we were talking about during the course of this, to go back in time for you fans that live in Jacksonville. This was during the time when the old Gator Bowl was being restored, renovated for the Jacksonville Jaguars playing in the NFL. So that's the timeline we're on right here. So you see how time has gone.
It's an interesting time in WCW because if you were reading the dirt sheets, you already knew who worked this because you had already taped Saturday night. So this match with Arn Anderson and Bunkhouse Buck, where they got their title shot, had already happened, but the Patriot and Bagwell hadn't won the belts yet.
Oh yeah. That was the old thing. And that was the problems that we had taping things ahead. Of course, the commentary will be put in later, but now we see Paul Nordart and, Paul Roma going at it. And you know what? Not a bad tag team. A tag team a good heel tag team of being world tag team champions here, I thought. And Roma's going to do some spectacular stuff here.
I've always thought Roma was an underrated tag guy. I liked him with Hercules Hernandez's Power and Glory. I like him here with Paul Orndorff. I think he's a fine tag wrestler, but people just dump on him because of the Horseman deal.
Yeah, they do. And that's unfortunate. We're seeing, now that's some great agility right there. Once again, great crossbody, great teamwork, really, by both these men. And Bagwell comes with a great clothesline. Look at that. Bagwell's doing look at that drop kick. That's some tremendous tag team work. And the fans are buying every bit of it.
Yeah, they're popping for it big.
Yeah. And the reason they're pumping for it big is because the heels are doing a great job of being heels. If your heels are great heels, back in the day, fans really get behind the baby faces. And that's exactly what's going on here.
It's worth mentioning that the Bruise Brothers actually walked out on WCW because they refused to put over Stars and Stripes on a Saturday night taping. What's your favorite Bruise Brothers match?
Probably the one where they walked out. Never to be heard from again, right? Or did they ever surface?
Oh, yeah, they popped back up again. You know,
they did?
Yeah, they were in the WWF, and I think they were back with you guys. I know I guess they owned TNA for a hiccup or a weekend or so.
Okay. All right. Well, so I didn't even remember the Bruise Brothers, if you'll recall from an earlier episode.
We should mention that your partner here, Bobby Heenan, is putting over Del Wilkes pretty big, saying that he served in the Gulf War, and the reason he can't show his face is because he has radiation scars.
Heenan was actually very good in this show. He was very, very good. And of course, this was kind of early Bobby Heenan too, before WCW wore him down, if you know what I mean.
We should mention that this goes down on November 16th, 1994. And I found it kind of interesting that this was a Wednesday. Do you remember why this was a Wednesday? Because Clash wasn't always on a Wednesday.
Well, no, Clash was on whenever TBS needed it to be on. That was the reason. So we were at the mercy of Turner Broadcasting, what they wanted in their schedule or what they needed.
I guess we should mention here, it's as good a time as any, that we're about 3 weeks past Halloween Havoc 94. Industry experts were predicting a 1.5 buy rate, and WCW internally was hoping for a 2.0. and they pulled out all the stops with Flair and Hogan, which set records the prior July at Bash at the Beach. But this time it's in a cage with Mr. T invited, and Ric Flair has to retire if he loses. And Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake is going to turn on Hogan. It's a shit show of massive proportions. And the thing only does a 0.95 buy rate, which is about 220,000 buys. So WCW grosses 2.45 million, of which they have to give 600,000 to Hulk Hogan. So they try to pop a number, fail. And now one of their top stars has been sacrificed and is off the roster for now because officially Ric Flair is retired. Tony, what the hell's going on? How does that happen? It feels like it clears out the top of your card, and this is the reason Hogan has to work silly shit.
Well, how it happens is that we're just not as hot as we think we should be right now or can be right now. And that's why Hulk Hogan was offered so much. Hogan was offered a lot of money, and at the beginning, the numbers didn't translate. Look at the power of Roma here. This is some pretty raw power. I mean, guys help each other up when they do hip tosses or things like that. But when you have to deadlift a guy many times.
Yeah. A big boy too. That's not a little guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Del Wilkes, big guy. And now the heels again, doing a good job of being heels. And Bagwell comes in and makes the save. Haven't seen Roma. I haven't seen Orndorff in quite a while. I heard Paul has lost a tremendous amount of weight. I don't know if you've seen him on the circuit or not, signing autographs or anything, but look at this. Right hand. These two teams work very well together.
Who do you reckon would have been a bigger favorite with Klondike Bill, Paul Roma or Buff Bagwell?
Oh, Buff Bagwell. Young, virile.
Virile. Oh my gosh.
Just going back to the attack once again is Buff Bagwell. Yeah, and they all these guys knew Klondike very well. Everybody knew him. He was quite the star. Look at this. Right there, Del Wilkes trying to go over, hit the referee, knock the cameraman's camera over, and they spill on the outside, and Orndorff was a tremendous performer. Oh. And he's laying them in there too, guys. But you got to, right? I think you really got to.
I think Orndorff is like the unsung hero of WrestleMania. The original WrestleMania. I think Piper gets all the shine and Orndorff doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah, I agree. Paul Orndorff was also a trainer at the power plant, so he helped develop a lot of the younger wrestlers, and I'm sure Goldberg was involved in that as well. One of your favorites, I know.